DOTE.
Welcome to the advanced tutorial on how to use the editor. And we'll try to cover most of the advanced features, but there isn't enough time in this tutorial to deal with all of them, and that will be for maybe an even more advanced tutorial at another time in the future. So take a look at the basic introduction to the editor. And as you know, if you've seen that video, this is the editor here, the editor panel. And what we can do is we're just going to maybe make this the profile here so we can focus on this. What you'll find over here on the right, it's now quite far away, so I'll just move it back here, is what we call it's the scroll bar. You can move up and down, but it's also a mini map. So it tells you information. For example, if you move around, you'll see there's a line appearing here. It's showing you this is how much you're seeing of what's available in the whole transcript, and this is where you are within that space there. So if I go to near the top, you'll see it's near the top. And then if I select a word, for example, if I select this word group, then it's showing you, well, you're currently here, but there are other uses of group down here, further down. And so you can see it's very, very light grey here and here and here and here. So it's showing you other uses of that in the actual transcript, and that can be all the way down. So for example, if I choose this one, you'll see that there's one down here beyond the extent of what we can see, and then another one down here. So if I go down, you'll see it will appear. There it is there. So that's one thing, that the mini-map can show you all sorts of information that's relevant for your transcript. It's a very informative scroll bar, unlike a Word document, for example. So that's the mini-map. But as you saw there, we have emojis, and this is an emoji here, and this is an emoji here, and this is an emoji here. You can use emojis, but we don't recommend them for speaker identification, and not really in the text. So I'm using them here just to highlight particular effects that are happening in a modern transcript. The problem is most emojis, and the ones that we can use here in DOTE, are non-proportional, which means that if they're in the speaker or participant ID, or they're in something where there's involving alignment, like here where there's meant to be an alignment, then DOTE won't be able to do alignment, because actually, just like with a non-proportional font like Times Roman or Helvetica or Arial, you cannot really align those because each character is a different width. So best not to use them too much, but the emojis are possible, and they're very easy to do in Windows and Mac nowadays. On Windows, you just type the Windows key and dot, full stop, and then you'll get the emoji panel come up. Okay, so that's emojis. We also have technical comments. Now notice here we have one type of technical comment, which is the metadata, which is the first technical comments, and that's in blue. If I go, say, to here and I want to add a comment, I can give some spaces and then do technical comment. It's in sort of a purpley colour, and I can add a comment here. This is what we call a technical comment, which is rather different from a transcriber's comment. Technical comments are available as an extra meta level to add comments that will be completely discarded and have nothing to do with the transcript. So they're like a commentary function. And here you can see, if I add a new one here, then it will go blue, but as soon as I do a new space and start adding, then it will go purple, because every single, without a line break at the beginning, is considered metadata. And when you export, you can decide whether you want to include the metadata or want to include technical comments. So it's just a very simple way at the moment, and in future releases we'll be adding more commentary function. I'm just going to delete this back here and delete this one. But this is a nice way to add comments, for example, on your own transcript, or on somebody else's transcript when you're trying to say that maybe something else should be done, some corrections should be made. So technical comments, different from transcribers' comments. And then we have autocomplete, which we saw in the first introductory basic video, that, for example, if we move down to here and then we say put some white space, then if I type R1, it's going to say, well, do you want R1? Do you want to have a specific subtier of some type? Let's say we want R1, we get with the translation line. Let's say we forgot, we want a specific subtier, it's body, it'll give us body. So that's the standard autocomplete for a speaker or participant ID. And it will do that for subtiers, and you can set that up in transcript options. Here you notice we've got an English translation and we've got a bunch of subtiers here. Go to the subtier video to learn more about tiers and subtiers. But there's other things that we can do. For example, R1 here. R1 is about to say something, and let's say if I start typing, it could be he says something softer. So if I type S, you'll see it's giving me an autocomplete. Soft, let's do soft. It will give you the 2 symbols necessary, and you can just type in there. We can carry on, and let's say it actually speeds up here. So let's say we're going to use fast immediately. If I carried on typing, that would disappear, but fast, it will give us the symbols for fast. So if you're unsure about the symbols, then that may help as you type. You can just type a letter, and it will show you what's possible. You can also do pitch, so pitch raises and pitch falls. If you want to see them all, then it's Control or Command Enter, and then that will show you, okay, well, you could have a subtier type of symbol, you could have a 0.01 second for a variant of the Mondadian system, and you can have fast in-breath, for example. I could select that and we get an in-breath with a sort of central dot, just to mark it off as a little bit different from a lower dot, a full stop, for example, this. So we've got the special symbol all ready to go, and we could add to make that a bit longer. So you can see this is a small range of standard symbols, and these could either be solo or paired together, as we see here is a pair. It also works if you type. So if I do for a standard transcriber comment or for an overlap, so I start with the overlap, there's the overlap symbol, it puts me in the middle and highlights that as being an overlap, though clearly there's some error here because we don't have anything in overlap yet. So that's what the editor can do. It can also do help you with those to align things. So for example, let's say this is overlapping with somebody, let's say P2. So P2, and if I start typing, yeah, P2 is going to overlap. Then this overlap here needs to be seen next to it, so I can move it up. And there is a way using Alt and up arrow, down arrow, that you can move things around very quickly, lines, or you can reduplicate them like this. So I'll just undo that. And now you see it's saying, hey, the alignment symbol, fix it, and it will actually put in things so that they are aligned, and the overlap onsets and offsets are set together vertically. So you can see there's a lot of help with autocomplete, and all you have to do if you're unsure, for example, let's say here we want to carry on, Control Enter will give us some idea of what's possible. It will also suggest for all the subtiers that there are, and we have a body subtier here. Notice also we should really move this one up so that we have the translation line for P2 here, and also for R1 here correctly. R1 with the translation, P2 with the translation. Then what we can also do is do it for alignment that a body, say a body move is conducted. What is that? It's this symbol has been already in the transcript options set up here as the particular thing. What we're looking at here is R1 body. So R1 body is down here. It's this symbol here. There we are, there's the symbol, that's correct. And let's say moves, and then it carries on like that. There's going to be problems because we've got an R1 body here, so we maybe need a continuation, so now that's resolved. There's also a problem that this is not got an alignment. Let's say the alignment is up here. Then all you have to do is make sure you put a space, because if it's next to a character like this, it will work. But if it's next to a letter like this, then you won't get any suggestions because it thinks it's part of the word. So you just need to put a space, and then you'll get the suggestion. It knows R1 body is a possible subtier, so it suggests that. Put it in, and now it's saying, no, there's no error, but we need to do a realignment. Fix that, and then we've got a nice realignment. Everything's realigned. So this is just an example of trying to make your life a lot easier in doing transcription using the editor. So please see the subtiers video for how to use all these different subtiers, and it will go into more detail about these alignment symbols and how to realign transcripts. What we can lastly say, the find and replace, there is an extra video about that, about doing more sophisticated finds and replaces using these regular expressions or case and other things, so we won't go into that here. But you can do a very quick trick. For example, let's say we want to find instances of Go. So let's just choose Go here. If I right click, it will say change all occurrences. And now it will indicate here in the minimap that these are all the occurrences of Go, and of course it's finding them in when they're in a part of a word as well. If I move down, you'll see it's highlighting there's 2 cases there, and I move down here, it's highlighting a case there. You can edit these at the same time. Now let's say we wish to do that. What we can do is make a change to gaze. Let's say we want to change this subtier here. And we want to find all cases of that subtier. Let's choose an easier one, R1 body. So if I say change all occurrences, it shows where all of those R1 bodies are, and it does continue down here as we see in the mini map. And then we could actually edit that. That's actually a cursor, and you can see the cursor is moving on every case. Let's say we want to change that to bod, for example. So notice every single case has changed to bod. Of course, you have to be careful that you don't have instances of R1/bod that occur elsewhere, but you don't wish to change, so you have to make sure it's unique. And I'll just undo that. All the operations you would expect are possible. So that's one way, using change all occurrences. All you do is select the item that you wish to change. Let's say it's walk, change all occurrences, and it shows there's actually 2 cases here. Might be you wish to change walks to some other verb of movement, strolls, for example, and you could do that. But what you can also do is do a multi-cursor. Let's say we wish to change gaze here. We wish to add gazes at, just to put it into a different person. So P to gazes at, not gaze at. Then we can put the cursor there. If I press Alt and then click again, I can actually have a multi-cursor. Just the same. If it disappears, press Escape, it'll come back, and I can then move around there. And that could be because, for example, I have imported something that has some transcripts in like this, which is incorrect. And what I wish to do is move this, so get rid of this tab here, and then add a speaker. So what I can do is press Alt, as you see here, and now I've got that, and then I can use the delete to delete backwards, and now I've deleted both of those at the same time. So that's a nice way of choosing a long list of things across multiple lines or multiple entities, and then be able to edit them simultaneously. And of course you can move through and edit them inside as well, though in this case we don't wish to do that. So that's the multi-cursor, and you can do that quickly. For example, let's say I do want to, for some strange reason, select all of these and then give a tab beforehand, which would not be a good idea. And then I can try that. So if I just select the first line and then I go down to the last line, and everything in between should have a multi-cursor. You just press Shift, Alt, and then the last place, and then you get one on every line. And then I could add a tab, and you see we get an error there if we try that. So that means it will select every single line at that particular place on the line. So those are some of the powerful operators of multi-cursor, a change all occurrence, as well as the autocomplete, that are some of the advanced features we find in the editor. So please go to the editor page on the transcript page on the help guide, and then you'll see more information there. And if you want to see the really more sophisticated, if you do Shift P, sorry, not Shift P, I'm still editing this, but Control Shift P, well, maybe it's not going to work that way. Let me try Command Palette, F1, it is F1, sorry. Command Palette, this lists a range of different operations you can do. You can transform to uppercase, title case, snake case, lowercase, transpose letters, Some of these things are not relevant, but you can experiment with these. But please don't do it on a transcript which is live, rather than just an experimental test transcript. Okay, that's all for now on the advanced editor. Hopefully you'll be able to discover some of these very powerful ways of working quickly with your transcript, and it helping you so that you don't make mistakes.